Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today as I walk you through how I created this layout about my daughter. So first of all, I cut out a butterfly cut file. This is the Paige Evans butterfly from the Silhouette store. And I cut it out using white cardstock. And here you can see how gorgeous this is. And what I did is I reserved these inside pieces, at least the larger ones, because I'm going to use those as templates for filling in the spaces of the butterfly with pattern paper. All right, so as I was mentioning, I used each of those individual larger pieces to use as a template. So basically, I place it over pattern paper and I cut around it, leaving about 1/8 of an inch, or it really depends on, I guess, how big the cut is that you have to adhere it to. But you want to leave just a little bit overhang so that you can apply glue and stick it to the back of the butterfly. And so that's kind of the way that I make sure that I get a perfect, or at least practically perfect cut. Every once in a while I will have to trim it up a little bit here or there because maybe I just didn't cut close enough, or the space that it's adhering to is a little bit smaller than I originally thought. But this really speeds the process for being able to backfill those open cut areas from cut files. So just a little trick that I wanted to share with you. And here you can see it's also great so that you can find the exact placement of what you like, and then you stick the template in the hole, remove the larger cut file, and now you've got the perfect placement for any sort of pattern paper that you might want it showing exactly that piece of the pattern. And some of them it doesn't matter, because like this one in particular, the flowers are very similar and in a repeating pattern. And of course this one as well. I didn't have to place it in there, but I really wanted to see what it would look like next to all the different patterns. And what I encourage you to do is to really not overthink this. If you have used pattern papers from the same collection, or if you've pre-selected your pattern papers, you're pretty much going to know that they're going to coordinate with each other. So I just ask that you not spend a significant amount of time, like I used to do, placing the patterns and trying to match them up. Like I said, they're probably going to match if they're from the same collection. The only thing that you really want to make sure you do is to not have clashing, or not clashing, but to not have similar colors next to each other, or patterns that may conflict just a little bit. And if you look at some of these, I've got 2 different pattern papers that have a floral look to them, and I just didn't want those 2 florals together. I wanted to spread them out a little bit. And so as you go around these smaller sections here, what I really did there was I included maybe 5 to 7 of those cuts out of the same pattern. So that way, I didn't have to cut the individual pieces, and I think it also brings a little bit of uniform to the butterfly. So you can see up at the top, I've got some pink all clustered together, some yellow clustered together. I do pink again on the side, and then I just bring various different colors down to the bottom. And since I didn't have a guide to that, I basically placed it behind there and then just trimmed around the edges. So that is my pattern paper butterfly. I am not actually going to add pattern paper to the right side of the butterfly because I have something else in store. Also, I liked the butterfly border that was at the bottom of the paper, so I trimmed enough off of the top so that it would still be a 12 by 12 paper. And now what I'm doing is I'm just applying the butterfly to the center of the paper. I attach some foam dots, and now I am stitching down the middle to secure it. Easy as that. So, like I said, I want to do something a little bit different on the right side. I thought that I would do something a little more dimensional, so I popped up the left side with foam dots. So that's got some dimension. And now on the right side, I actually did not pop it up with foam dots. I let it lay flat. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add flowers and butterflies on that side. So the right side will have the dimension from the embellishments and the left side will have it from the foam dots. Also, a little tip whenever you're doing photos, I don't know how your photos come to you if you purchase them from a store, but I print mine out at home and I always include a border around them. So I use that as like a frame. So I always trim or I leave maybe a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch around the photo to act as a frame to help it pop up from the background. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I had previously used my pick scan on my silhouette to fussy cut some flowers, and so that is a huge time saver, by the way. Although there is a little bit of setup for that, it cuts the flowers for you so that you don't have to fussy cut like what I'm doing with these butterflies right here. I hadn't actually decided what I wanted to use this butterfly paper for before I started creating the layout, but once I got into working on this, I thought, you know, it would be really great to fussy cut these butterflies and use them as additional elements. So I'm just cutting out, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 of these different butterflies. And I do end up sewing on them. I don't think you need to add that, so I did not include that in this video. But I ended up just stitching right down the middle of the butterflies just so that I could have some little whiskers or wispies, I should say, from the thread popping off of them. All right, so now I am back to trying to figure out where all I want the butterfly embellishments and the flowers. And this is really, again, you shouldn't spend a lot of time here guessing. Just start putting them down. There's lots of empty spaces on this page. So what I like to do is take the larger pieces that I have, the larger die cuts, and start placing them where I want them. And some of them you can see I secure down immediately with glue. Others I put some foam dots without peeling off the foam so that I can move them around just a little bit. But like I said, just start getting those larger pieces together and just start placing them down. Start filling in the blanks. And what you'll do later, which I'll show you of course, is you'll come back in and fill in any gaps. I decided that I wanted some more of the light pink flowers here, so I fussy cut a few more since I did not have any of those on hand. And I just followed the lines of the cut around the perimeter of the flower there. And since it was only a half flower, I tucked it in behind another one, or another 2, I should say. I liked the little leaves that were on that lemon paper, so I cut out a few of those as well. Those just take no time at all to cut them because they're literally like little leaves. So I cut those, set them aside. Those are going to be some of my fillers. I added in some gold embellishments there, like that one that you see from the leaf, from the die cut pack, from the Pebbles Patio Party collection. And now you can see my butterflies there. So some of these I popped up with foam dots, but most of them I adhered down with glue. You can also adhere them down with glue, but then add some foam behind the leaves to kind of make them pop up. That way they don't get flattened whenever you put them in your album. And now I am just looking to fill in those gaps. Add more butterflies, more flowers. And I'm really liking the way it's looking right now. I just wanted something that was maybe a little bit different. I know it may seem odd to have, you know, part of the butterfly with pattern paper and part of it with flowers and butterflies, but I don't know, I just wanted to do something a little bit different here. And you know, if you don't have a pick scan, you can sit in front of the TV with your favorite fussy cut pattern paper and cut your flowers and butterflies until your heart is content. That's something that I really enjoy doing. It's kind of a de-stressor for me to sit there and not really have to think about what I'm doing. I can catch some of my favorite TV shows at the same time. Or, of course, if I want to sit with my daughters and watch Harry Potter for the millionth time, I can sit there with them, enjoy some quality time, but keep my fingers busy with some fussy cutting. So I really enjoy doing that, and I hope you do too. It's a little therapeutic and just a lot of fun. So I'm just fussy cutting a few more flowers here and there. I actually cut some of these little tiny leaves. They are itty bitty, but I felt like I needed a little bit more green in this side of the butterfly. So I've added a few there, and this one I actually pop up on top of the photo a little bit. There is a butterfly, which you can see I added with some foam dots, and then I'll add well, I thought I was going to add another butterfly. I actually added a puffy sticker also above my photo. Just start clustering around that. There's one of those little tiny leaves that I added. And again, just filling it up. I'm almost done. I also noticed that I was lacking blue up there above my daughter's head, so I added in some blue to the right. Tucked in another flower die cut. Just trying to get all of those gaps filled in, and I'm trying to make sure that it stays in the shape of the butterfly so that you can see almost a mirror image. Obviously the two sides look differently, but we want to make sure that they're uniform. And there's a couple more little gaps in there, so I add a leaf and a butterfly and a few more flowers. I could not get this, I tried to pop up this puffy sticker butterfly, but I think I added a little bit too much dimension, so I ended up taking the foam dots off of it because it just kept popping up in the center. So there you have it, just filling in those little gaps and figuring out where I need a little bit more of a certain color, which you can see I'm just adding little tiny details. That's all that's left are the details. A little bit of pink and a little bit more of the green. You know, I tried to estimate how long this would take me, and I think you could spend 10 minutes on the left side filling it with the pattern paper and try and limit yourself to 10 minutes on the right side. That is, of course, if you have your elements already cut out. If you have to cut them out, that will take a little bit more time, but trying to figure out how, you know, you can do this without overthinking and how you can really not spend as much time, you know, have it be a time suck for you, and just expedite the process a little bit. Just don't overthink it and try and limit yourself to 10 minutes on each side. So now I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do my title. I thought of various different titles that I might want to use, but I kept coming back to this gold script, and I thought, because it's kind of a foam word script element, that I would be able to bend it around the butterfly, but I just didn't like how it looked. So I ended up moving it and repositioning it all around the page, and I do that by cutting it out of and keeping the back behind the words, and that allows me to move it around until I really like it. So I settled on Hello Darling down at the lower right, and then I decided, you know what, the page needs a little bit of color to it. So I lifted up the butterfly, added some color, and then I used my packaging to keep covered over my butterfly so that I wouldn't get any of the gold color on that. I also did add a little splattering of hot pink on there as well. And now I'm just adding, you know, bringing over the butterfly and the flower element to the left side just to even it out a little bit. And now I'm adding in my title, Hello Darling. I end up starting with the darling because I wanted to make sure, the hello would fit, but then I decided I wanted to add some additional stitching under the hello, so I just lifted that up and added some stitching. I just went back and forth using, my petal and the, the button that sends it back. Sorry, I don't know the technical terms, but you can see that I just went back and forth underneath hello just to add a little bit of texture to it. And then I added in some additional elements. I felt like the butterfly that I had cut out and placed on the right, all those little butterflies, needed to also have one on the left. And then I added in the darling back, another butterfly up in the upper right corner, and then I wanted to add a floral element to bring that, flowery design and butterfly back. So I ended up adding that down at the bottom. That's another one of the pre-cut fussy cuts that I had. And then I add some butterflies. Then I decided I had 2 butterflies that were small on the left side, and I just didn't like that balance, so I ended up switching those around. And there you have it. There's my layout. I hope you have enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed creating it, and I look forward to bringing another video to you very soon. I hope you have a great day.